Hey guys, I'm currently in New York and today was the last round of the final four of chess. So the best four teams from all the college teams in the United States come together and play a tournament. Today was the last round we played against University of Illinois and my opponent was Eric Rosen, FIDE Master Eric Rosen. I played with the black pieces and he started off with c4. So we see English opening. Okay. And now in this position, white has so many choices. G3 is I think the main move, E3, but my opponent played A3, obviously preventing me from playing bishop B4. So I played D5, and you might have already noticed it. We have a reverse Sicilian now on the board. C takes D5, knight takes D5, queen C2, bishop E7. And more specifically, we see reverse Taimanov here. And I think my opponent also plays this opening with black, so absolutely makes sense that he tries to achieve the same kind of positions with white. Okay, castle. Knight takes d5, queen takes d5. Bishop c4 is an option, but bishop d3 definitely also possible. Okay, threatening a pawn here. King h8. Is preventing bishop takes h7 because black can simply play g6 then, and white will gain 3 pawns for the piece, but it's not really enough, so you shouldn't do that. Also useful, king h8, it prepares black or me to play f5, which I did right here before f5. And now I play bishop c4, queen e6, and his next move surprised me a little bit. He played h4. I think a normal continuation would be bishop b2, and now maybe e4, knight d4, bishop d7. Actually, I looked at this position a little bit before the round, and black should be completely fine here. But h4 is more ambitious. He wants to attack. He wants to play knight g5. And I played bishop e6. And when I looked at the game with the computer gives an interesting line here. e4, knight h5, now very strong, queen h6. Threatening obviously to take on g5, and white has problems now, and knight f7 doesn't work, black takes, and now has this double attack and wins another piece. So actually, just as I'm looking at it, white can protect both pieces. So I should have maybe looked at this a little bit deeper. Probably knight e5, now knight e3 looks quite strong. But okay, the line is not over yet. Okay. Alright, bishop e6 is what I played. He played bishop b2. And now I exchanged this dangerous bishop. I took on c4, and now I played e4. Knight g5, and bishop f6. And I was quite happy here with my position. I kind of neutralized both bishops. I'm exchanging both bishops, and then I just have the better structure. I have this beautiful square on d3. Okay, so notice knight f7, I just take on b2. That would give me 2 pieces for the rook, so that's good for black. So he has to exchange more or less. Queen takes f6. Now the rook is hanging. He played rook d1. I actually thought my position is already really good, but it seems that after castle, black's just slightly better. For example, here rook a8 or rook a8, and he has a better structure. I can still maybe sometimes aim to bring my knight to d3. Okay. But he played rook d1, and he played rook ae8. And it would have been better to immediately play knight e5. Why did I play rook ae8? I didn't want him to play queen e6 and exchange my queens. I want to keep the queens on the board. But here, rook a8, and the endgame is very comfortable for black. Black has already a clear advantage in this position. Okay, rook ae8. And now he played, so now I obviously want to play knight e5, knight e3. He played g3. It would have been better to play f4. And I was considering this move, and I want to take on f3. But it seems black should simply continue slowly. and not take on f3, because here I want to play rook e4, but it seems white is doing okay here, and it's not that much for black. Okay, back to this position, g3, and now of course knight e5. Queen b3. If he takes on c7, then queen a6 is pretty much a killer move with the threat knight d3, and then a discovered check. Knight b2. Yeah, many options for black. Okay, so queen b3, and now if I play queen a6, white has to move b5. So I thought I play c5, and then if he takes, then I can play queen a6. But to be honest, I should have just played slowly. I should have just play, first give a check, and then rook e7. And with the knight here on d3, black has a very comfortable position, definitely. And that should be clearly better here for black. c5, it's still good, but with hindsight, I'm not completely sure about this move. So if he doesn't take, then I play c4, and then obviously I get more space, and that's just very good for me. So he took, and now my idea, queen a6. So now I can't play b5 anymore. And he played d4. I was also looking at rook b1, because now if I play knight d3, king f1, and then knight takes d5, he can play queen b5, so he doesn't lose the queen. But I want to play h6 now. It is not right away threatening to take on g5, obviously, but white cannot move his queen pretty much. So now I have this threat of knight d3. Because if he moves the queen, then this knight is always hanging on g5. But it seems to be that the best chance to play queen takes b7 and really give up this knight on g5. But I feel like white has not enough here, and it should be just a technical issue here for black to win this position. Okay, d4, and I took this pawn en passant. It looks like maybe this program doesn't have the have the option to take en passant, so let me just get there by playing d3. That's funny. I actually didn't know that. Okay, so we have this position, and now my opponent played f4, and this is definitely necessary. If he castles here, then just play h6, knight h3, and yeah, knight f3 here. This looks devastating for white. So f4 is good, and now knight g4. For a moment I was looking at oh wow, what's going on now? Going crazy here. For a moment I was looking at knight f3, okay, but that doesn't work out. White can take, rook takes e3, king f2, rook e2, king g1. Now queen g6 was my idea. If knight g5, then queen c6, but white can soon play rook h3, and yeah, it's not working. So knight g4, and now rook takes d3. Obviously white has to protect the pawn. Now h6. Again, I'm not threatening to take, but I'm preventing white from castling, because then obviously I could take. And now my opponent played a decisive mistake. He played knight f7, and it's just losing. He had to play knight f3. And I want to play queen c6 now, but this only gives black a slight advantage. Better is rook d8 to keep white from castling, so white cannot castle. So he has to do something about the rook now. And if he plays rook d4, then rook c8. We see black, I'm preventing my opponent from castling, so this is clearly better here for black. Okay, back to the game. Knight f7. The problem with knight f7 is I can take this knight and sacrifice the exchange. because here the knight and the queen, you might have heard it, they're beautiful playing together, and white is just so disorganized. So his hope was to achieve a perpetual check somehow, but doesn't work out. h5, so he wants to give a perpetual check here. And I first looked at knight f6. Again, first let me say what I play. Play queen b1. I first looked at knight f6, and this also looks quite good for black because the queen is kind of trapped here. But it is actually not that clear. White plays rook f1, and if black has an advantage, it's only a slight advantage. But after queen b1, I pretty much have a forced win. Okay. So he has to play king d2. If he plays king e2, then just queen c2, and king e1, queen f2, king d1, knight takes e3, and this is winning. So king d2, queen b2, now king d3. Again, if he plays king d1, then you just see how beautifully knight and queen are playing together here. King f1, queen f2, and king d1, queen c1, king e2, queen c2, and mate on f2. Okay. So king d3, now knight f2, king c4. So the rook is attacked, but I can still not take because there's perpetual check. But I can continue giving checks. Queen c2, king b5. Well, if he plays king d5, then simply queen d3, king e6, and now I exchange the queens, and then at the very end I take on h1. Obviously white doesn't have anything anymore. Okay, so king b5, queen b3 check, king a5, so of course I take this pawn with check, and now I play queen h6, a6, and now I can take, because now I'm protecting g6, and obviously now I'm just a whole knight up, so this must be losing. He tried on for a little bit, but it was not really difficult for me to convert this position to win. So I can't take this pawn because queen e4, but I play queen c6, and of course all the endgames are always losing for white, so you cannot exchange queens. So queen f7, but now I just queen e4, I take this pawn, again preventing white from playing queen g6. Now f5, he's still trying, but queen c6, and again protecting the square. e4 now, yeah, well. So b5, king b3, queen c4, so king a5, queen b6, king b4, a5, king a3, and now queen c5. I just give a lot of checks, and here at this point he resigned because he has to go to b1, and any other square, well, almost any other square, but there's always this idea to just exchange queens here with queen c4. If he goes to a3, then queen b4 and queen c4, and after king b1 I just take on e4, and in the worst case I just play back queen c6, and I have a lot of pawns, I'm up a lot of pawns, I've got an extra knight. This is of course completely losing. Okay, so that was our game. I don't actually know yet which place our team UMBC will end up, because there's still games in progress, but it seems we will end up either second or third, and that's pretty reasonable because it was a very strong field. Okay, so much from me. If you have any questions, then just post it, and I'll see you later. Bye.